Hello, everybody. Hope you're all well. Back today for the third episode of the road to 10k a month, or the road back to 10k a month with this website. Um, so, in the previous video, we ran some keyword research and we identified a list of, as you can see there, the 679 different keywords that are relevant to the products and categories that we're going to be advertising on the NoFaber website. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to look how to add to this list through running competitor research. So, fortunately, a lot of SEO tools, SE ranking, SEMrush, Ahrefs, there's lots more out there as well that I've probably missed out. Um, they make it very easy to be able to identify, keywords, backlinks, opportunities that your competitors are actually taking advantage of. Um, so what I'm going to do today is a bit of a tutorial on how to do that with obviously our competitors, the people who are above us in the search results. So you can see that obviously we've built, relatively solid list. There's lots and lots of keywords here that are, longer tailed. There's keywords which are, high search volume. There's keywords which are related to brands. There's keywords which are related to categories, subcategories, products, etc. Um, and this is good. And this has come from basically, I call it, generic keyword research, where you're going away and based off, what you already know about the brand, putting them in as a seed keyword, and then obviously these tools will spit out a list of suggestions. What we're going to do now is identify opportunities that the competitors are taking advantage of. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of crossover with keywords which we've identified, but the main thing is making sure that we don't, leave any stone unturned, really. So we'll run through that. We'll run through how to see the keywords which they're ranking for, and we'll also do a bit of competitor analysis over the shoulder. We'll look at the types of backlinks that some of them are built. Walk through the benefits of them types of backlinks, and then what I'll do at the end. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos under 30 minutes. I don't want them to be too much to take in to begin with. But what I'll do is, once I've got obviously a list of the keywords, a list of all the different backlinks, I'll do a bit of a write up on each of the websites as to what they're doing that we can take advantage of. I hope that makes sense. So what we'll do, we'll get cracking right away. So on SE ranking, what you'll see is they've got the competitive research section where you can actually look at what your competitors are doing. So what I've done, and I think I've shown you this in the previous video, is I've listed 5 different competitors there who are ranking for a lot of the keywords that we want to rank for. Some are more transactional than others. Some of them rank for a lot of like top of the funnel type keywords as well. But what we'll do is we'll start to run through these guys because obviously they're all selling very similar products to what we're going to be pushing. So we'll get cracking on Coolasom as a website. So you can see here, very similar layout structures to the websites. Similar brands are on there. You've got, categories, subcategories, very similar layout and structure to what we've actually got on our website. Although we are going to change ours as time goes on. So what you want to do is you want to take the URL, just put it straight into the tool of choice. Put that over there. So you can see, you can get a bit of an indication as to how they're doing organically, how much traffic they're generating on paid, the trend over the past 12 months or so. Pretty certain, yeah, so obviously you can go back a lot further as well. So these guys are obviously on a, relatively positive trajectory, which is good. So, this actual toolkit, will give you an indication of the main trust. I mean, the main trust is, you'll often hear domain authority, you'll often hear, domain rating, trust score. You'll hear these different types of these different metrics used. Obviously, very similar here. So obviously domain trust. It's basically how likely a website is to rank on the search results, and that's on a scale of 1 to 100. All the other tools are pretty similar to that. And if you put this main into like Ahrefs, SEMrush, etc., etc., they follow a very similar pattern. You can actually see where they're actually generating the traffic from. So obviously their website's an English speaking website, so they're ranking well in obviously United Kingdom, where they're selling the products, United States, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. And then there's some other keywords in there as well, which is good to know. So then you've obviously got like organic competitors. So some of them ones are ones that are on our list that we'll run through shortly. You'll obviously see organic keywords, and then you'll be able to see a nice split of, the intent of the keyword. So obviously 40% of it's commercial, which is, relatively solid. 43% informational, so they're typically like your blog posts, your how-to guides, etc., etc. Local keywords, that's an interesting one because that's a strategy which definitely works for e-commerce stores, but it's not necessarily always a main focus. Obviously transactional intent and navigational intent as well. So, there's obviously a nice mix there. But obviously there's some other metrics here which you'll be able to see. So obviously there's a lot of crossover with competitors, etc. Obviously pages and the SERPs which are generating the most traffic for them, what they're actually advertising for on paid. So obviously we're not going to focus on paid advertising, but if you are, and it is something that you're looking to do with your e-commerce store, 100% you can get some good insights from these keyword tools. So what we'll dig into now is actually do a detailed report of the organic keywords which are generating the most traffic for them. So what you'll be able to see here is obviously here's a list of the organic keywords. These are all the ones that are in the UK for them. There's lots and lots of different ways you can actually toggle. So you can toggle between country, you can add filters, you can change the search volume, keyword difficulty. We'll get through some of that in a minute. But what you'll also be able to see on the left hand side here, which is very important, obviously our first step was identifying keywords from just basically running the keyword research tool with a seed keyword. But what you'll be able to see here is, because we've already added a lot of them into the keyword list, so they're the ones that are ticked here, they're the ones which we've already got in the in the main keyword list. So generally they can be ignored. But what you'll be able to see here is the ones that aren't ticked. You'll quite clearly be able to see that they're ones which we haven't actually added to our list previously. So there might be some good opportunities there, and right away we can see that. So there's some preset filters here as well on SEO ranking. So obviously you can look at growth opportunities. So this is good when you do it with your own website, if that makes sense. So I'll run you through this shortly on the NoFaber website, but you can actually see ones that are in 4th and to 10th position. So they're ones which generally you can do a bit of work on them and push them up to the top of the first page. Same with 11 to 15, you can push them onto the first page as well. So these are very good filters, presets which are already on here. However, it's not necessarily the main purpose of what we're doing, so I'm not going to deviate too much. So what you can do here is you can actually go through, similar to what we did previously, go through the different intents of the keywords. So what we're going to do is we are going to filter so it's commercial and transactional intent to begin with. Obviously informational is important, and we will come on to that a little bit later on. We've got different methods of being able to do that. So right away it'll be a case of going through all these keywords, identifying ones which we do feel as if will be relevant for what we're selling. Obviously a lot of them are covered already, which means that we've covered a lot of ground in the previous the previous portion of this. But there are some really solid opportunities here. So what I'm going to do now is we'll basically just start to click through. Again, I'm going to do a bit of a pause in between this because As you can see, there's 5,000 different keywords to actually troll through. Um, but what we will do is we'll start to tick them through. We'll start to get them added into the keyword list, and then I'll move on to the next section. Hi guys, now we're back. So we basically run through quite a few of the competitor websites, and from what we can see, we've actually identified a lot more opportunities, and it's really shown through and obviously shown us the value of actually looking what competitors are ranking for. As an example, we found a lot of different variations. So if we go a little bit further back, um, as I'm sure you can remember when we were obviously looking at doing the initial seed keyword research, it was pulling out a lot of, good categories, subcategories, branded keywords. What we actually found through running obviously the competitor analysis is that a lot of the actual competitors that are on there, not just trying to rank for sizes, which we were seeing a lot, but they were looking to rank for different colours. So as you can see, like black integrated wine cooler. There was a lot of like instances as well of people that were like basically looking for like quiet wine coolers, because obviously what obviously we've learned is that some wine coolers are a lot noisier than others, obviously like low electricity wine coolers. So there are lots and lots of new opportunities that we found here. Obviously, we still need to go through and refine this list. We've pretty much doubled it in size there, which is good. And obviously, when we go through and do the keyword clustering exercise in the following videos, we'll actually start to go through and identify ones which are relevant, ones which are obviously less relevant. But we've got some really good wins from looking at these different types of keywords. And as I said, we've pretty much doubled our keyword list size as well. And there's going to be lots and lots of new opportunities for categories and subcategories. But yes, so what we're going to do now, obviously, now that we've got this list, the next action once we've actually completed the full list, we're not quite there yet. But it'll be a case of going through and obviously clustering them and ultimately having an action for each individual keyword. This will be the following video, but for now, what we're going to focus on is just show a few other cool free ways of identifying keywords and getting them in a keyword list. I'll be honest, these tools probably do the best job of keyword research for sure. But yeah, there are a few other ways which we'd advise looking at. So let's get cracking on then. So where we would probably start things off if we were trying to find even deeper keywords is we'd actually go into Google Search Console. So this is obviously providing that you've had it set up already and the website does have some previous history, some previous some previous rankings on Google search. So what you would do is obviously go to your Google Search Console accounts. You can see here that we've got a pretty certain it will have 16 months worth of history. So if we actually filter it, you'll be able to see the queries, the keywords which have actually generated the most clicks during this period. So obviously you'll be able to delve into the queries. As I'm sure I've mentioned previously, there's not a massive amount of keywords here. The website gets a few, a few clicks per day, as you can see. So pretty much at like, between 10 and 20 clicks a day through the traditional web search. But what you can do here is you can actually go through, export the list into Google Sheets to begin with. Should be able to see here, very easy to do, very straightforward. You can actually just go through the lists. I'd probably ignore everything here, if I'm being honest, to begin with. Obviously, this is obviously important to know, and we'll delve into this a little bit later on. But in terms of just creating this keyword list, we want it to be as big, we want it to be as refined as possible. Obviously, you can see by the average positions, we've got some decent rankings for these different types of keywords. And from what we can pretty much see here, is vast majority of these are relevant. I mean, we've got a few instances of people doing their own lookups on the website to identify, affiliate opportunities. But aside from that, there's a lot of decent keywords in here which do have, some relevancy. So what we'll do with this list is we'll obviously exclude the brand name. That doesn't need to be in there. But if we just delve into the lists, I mean, from what I can see, the vast majority of them are relevant in our products, which we do sell. I mean, maybe when we get a little bit further out, they get less importance. Say we'll go to anything that has over 200 impressions, looks to be relevant for now. So we will get that list. So we'll take them. And then what you can do is when you actually go into the keyword list, actually add these keywords into it. So there we go, there's 270. I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of crossover there. Yeah, so 250 new keywords added there, which the website's already visible for, which is obviously very positive, and that's a way that we'd recommend, if you do have some sort of history with Google, is going down that route and identifying what's there already and helping that actually form the basis of your content plan. Something else which we do, it's a bit of a trick again. I've used this trick for years in industries which are probably more taboo, such as CBD, gambling, finance, like addiction. I mean, if you look at the platform itself, so it's actually Reddit. So obviously, as I'm sure anyone who's in and around SEO will know, that Reddit has, it's been really up and down in terms of how much love Google's been showing it over the past couple of years. But as they like to call themselves, they're the heart of the internet. And basically what people do in here is they will basically go away. They'll have obviously their own communities on there. People actually ask questions, and quite often these questions will show up in the search results. And if they're showing up and it's a longer tail question and it's showing up, within the first few places, I always see that as a massive opportunity. If a Reddit thread showing up at the top, there's an opportunity there for someone to, if it's relevant, produce an article which can stand out and rank above it. As I said, it's a trick I've used for years. The way you'd approach it, if we just go into the competitive research and do the organic traffic research, just put Reddit's URL in here. Make sure you filter to the right country. Obviously, we're in the UK. And what you want to do is you want to add a filter to include. So you add that, and containing. And then if you just put in wine cooler, because this is obviously the product which we're looking to sell, you'll actually be able to see here there's a lot of informational keywords which have come up, some commercial ones as well. So, I mean, if you look at them, a lot of them we already do have added to the list, but you'll be able to see that there are a lot of informational opportunities there as well. What we'll do is we'll obviously filter between obviously we'll put commercial and transactional in because we're not onto the informational keyword plan just yet, but you'll be able to see that there are some opportunities in here which we haven't took full advantage of yet. So right, again, what I'll do is I'll go through this list and I'll obviously show you the list at the end. So we're back now. As you can see, we've created a very comprehensive list. So this has been going through obviously the seed keyword research. We've been doing the competitor keyword research, showing you how to do the Google Search Console keyword research, and additionally a little bit of a trick on how to use Reddit to identify opportunities as well. So we've got a pretty solid list here of 1,500 keywords. We can really drill into that. Vast majority of these are commercial. You'll be able to see some ones that have been labelled as informational. I think the intent of them is just a little bit off. But essentially the keywords we've got here are going to be the ones we're actually going to be targeting our category pages and product pages towards, and the ones that are going to be the real revenue drivers for us. So essentially what we'll do now is, in terms of keyword research, we'll put that on hold. So we've pretty much got this commercial list of keywords here. In the next video, what we'll do is we'll start to cluster these keywords, and I'll show you our process for clustering, and how to put it into a list of essentially actions for each of the individual pages and each of the individual keywords. But what I'm going to do now, just to finish the video off, I made reference to it earlier, is just continuing on from the keyword research. We obviously have looked at competitors' keywords. What I would typically do during this process as well, while we're doing the competitive research, is actually go away and look at the different types of links, different types of pages which our competitors are actually ranking for. So you'll be able to see here, if we actually go into the competitive research tool, I'll show you Coolsham as an example. So obviously we went into this dashboard a little bit earlier on. Obviously see the organic competitors are, the keywords, we obviously drilled into that, see where they're actually coming from. But backlinks is obviously the interesting one. So a big part of what we need to do is we need to make up ground from a link building perspective and build some more authority to the website. As you can see there, it doesn't look like they've obviously done a massive amount of link building over the past year or so. I mean, even drilling back over the past two, it looks like they obviously done a lot of it towards the back end of 2022, and it's been pretty steady since. But what you can actually do with keyword tools is you can actually drill in and look at all the referring domains that are actually pointing back to their website. So you can actually run the backlink checker tool. So this report is in progress. So I'll pick this up once it's done. Sounds good. So everything's loaded in now, which is good. So you can see there that there's a very solid overview. You can obviously see anchor text, so it looks like a lot of the links which the guys built anyway are branded. You can obviously see the main trust of all the domains that have linked to them, countries as well. So vast majority of them look like they're coming from .com domains, but there's obviously quite a nice mix. I would advise always going in and looking at the actual referring domains. You can see that, to be honest, there's some instances of different types of link building here. So right away, like you can see, there's obviously lots of citation style links. So we actually open this up. This is all stuff that we can drill into ourselves and create them. So what I would do here is actually go through the list, but you can see that there's instances of digital PR links. There's a lot of directory links as well. So we can obviously work out whether they're relevant for us and whether it's it's worth us actually going down a route of actually acquiring them. But what we would do with each of the individual competitors is we'd go away and we'd actually export the list. So we'll export it into a CSV. So I'm going to do this now for each of the competitors that we've listed, and we'll actually get a list of all their backlinks. We're not necessarily going to build every single link on there or look to build every single link on there, but we'll look to build the ones which we do feel as if are relevant and the ones where we feel as if it'd be necessary for us to have them. So we're back. So as I said, it was a case of going through each of the individual domains that we consider to be our competitors. identifying obviously what backlinks are potentially making a difference for them. So you'll be able to see for each of these 5 here. What I've done is, as I said, I'm not going to go through every single individual link, but the purpose of this is to just, really get an overview of the types of links which the competitors are building, and ones which ultimately, can serve us well. So what I've seen quite a bit of a trend across all the individual sites. A lot of the websites had these style of profile links, and I think these are obviously very important, particularly if you are an e-commerce store and actually going away being listed on websites like Proven Expert. There's thousands and thousands of these different types of directories, but some of them, such as Proven Expert, are pretty decent. You'll often see them showing up on like page 1, page 2, page 3 for all brand SERPs. If something's showing up in a brand SERP, typically I'd say it's worth trying to get a link for your own website on. I call it like the entity, the foundational type link building, and getting your name, address, phone number listed, links out to your social channels, 100% worth doing to actually go away and build out your entity of your website. Particularly, I mean, with the website which we're working on at No Favour, it's an expired domain. Sorry, it's an age domain, so it's something which has been used previously for different purposes. So Google might actually see it as being a totally different website. So it's definitely something we're going to focus on soon. Say a lot. This is what we'd call a like journalist request type link. So this is something which, these are real high value, high authority links. So Wine Enthusiast is probably one of the best links you can get in the wine space. So obviously what's happened here is a journalist has wrote an article, what's the difference between wine coolers and wine fridges. Obviously you go through and obviously they're going through, and as you can see, they decode the terminology. They actually reached out to Elite Wine Refrigeration, who have a very good SEO team, and basically asked them for expert commentary on obviously the differences between the two. And you can see there's a link with obviously the founder's name and a link back to the website, which is good. And you can see that they're also linking out to a few other websites as well, who are in similar fields. So these types of links are really good when it comes to establishing trust, credibility, actually being linked in here, not just for the brand, but for the director as well, who's typically going to be the author of the blog posts. Really, really solid type of link, and not many competitors will have them. Next one is a guest post. From what you can see, I'll be honest, it looks like something which has been done a relatively long time ago, but you can see here that there's obviously something called the On magazine, and obviously Cool Som have reached out and they've basically wrote an article for their website, which includes a link back to one of the collection pages. This is something which 100%, I do feel as if they have value, these types of links. It's just obviously making sure they're on the right website, and obviously Google tells people not to buy links. In my opinion, there's always value in buying links if they're the right types of websites. It's obviously up for you to decipher whether something is the right type of website for you to be linked on. I always try and obviously say stay away from websites which have been hammered with other people's links. But obviously people can obviously make their own minds upon it. But obviously these guest posts are, this does look relatively relevant. This post being on this website, but you can see here like the recent posts, it looks like they're pretty much writing about anything. So I'd probably try and stay away from these types of websites if I'm being honest. But this is just an example of some of the links that the competitors have built. Next one, my favorite type of link. So this is a digital PR campaign. Again, one for Elite Wine Fridges. You'll be able to see that they've gone away and basically analysed data to work out where the cheapest city to buy a bottle of wine is. And looks like they've obviously gone away, done a story, identified a lot of different parts of the country. Look like a bit of a league table, and you can see that it's obviously, I mean, this link has obviously linked back to their website, but they've also generated dozens of other backlinks on relevant local newspaper publications. So this is like a data-driven digital PR campaign. They're probably, with this types of campaigns, the types of links that I would focus on. So, you know, your digital PR campaigns, your journalist requests, having the odd guest post pointing to a collection page or a blog post, and obviously your foundational profile links, which we'll come on to soon. But yeah, so that's a bit of an overview of how to run competitor analysis when it goes to going away and actually creating a strategy and implementing a strategy. There's potentially a little bit more that goes into it, and we'll start to go through that in the following videos. But as I said, going to try and keep these videos up on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. Let me know in the comments below how often you want to see them. But yeah, hopefully this has been of value to people. In the next section, we'll go through how to actually use the keyword research that we've done, how to use the competitor research that we've done, and start to form a clustering document which shows all the keywords in. Cheers everyone, speak soon.